And so God's creation is corrupted. There is a darkness. There is a weakening of our intellect and a weakening of our will. We don't quite understand the truth as we once did when we had full communion with God. We don't quite choose the right way when we know we should. So we struggle to see the truth and we struggle to do the good. Our intellect, our ability to reason and see truth is darkened. Our ability to choose the good is weakened, but God doesn't give up on us. And this is the profound and wondrous good news story which we see actually playing out through Advent and Christmas. Because what God does at that point is, despite the fact that sin has entered the world through Adam and Eve, and we are now stained by the stain of original sin, what does God do? He then begins a journey of communion, of trying to draw His creation back to Him. We read this all through the Old Testament, and then the culmination of this happens with Jesus. And this is what the heart of Advent is really pointing us towards, the coming of this Messiah who isn't simply a Messiah, He's actually one of us. And this is really quite profound. In the season of Advent, we see God becoming man. This is huge. This is something that separates Christianity from any other faith. We believe in a God who truly knows us. When we say that God knows us, we don't just mean that He intellectually knows us. We mean that God became one of us and He really does know us. He's lived our pain. He's experienced tiredness. He's lived the fullness of the human experience. I can't tell you how profound and important all of this really is. And Advent is the season when we marvel at this profound and wondrous gift that is the incarnation and how this radically changes the game that is the human experience. Now, what we see begin in the season of Advent with the incarnation finds its fullness, finds its culmination, its really big moment, of course, when Christ ascends back into heaven. He rises bodily from the grave and then He ascends to the right hand of the Father. And every week in Mass we say this when we say the Creed, but have you stopped to wonder about just how marvelous all of this really is? What this means is that God didn't just take on human form for a brief period. He remained in that human form. He still has that human form today in the person of Jesus Christ. Christ didn't abandon His body when He came out of the grave. He kept that human body, and then He ascended into heaven with that human body. That really is quite profound. And what it says is that our humanity is really, really, really important to God. It is profoundly wondrous to Him. It is so important that He kept our human body, our human form, and took it back into heaven with Him. And in a sense, what we're seeing play out there is we're seeing the culmination of Advent in that moment. We're seeing a moment where our humanity is now lifted out of the mire of sin and the mess and elevated back into the life of God. This is a truly profound and wondrous thing, a God who truly knows us and loves us and continues to love us out of the darkness and into the light. And the other wondrous thing about this is that you've often probably heard the saying, we are made in the image of God. We read this in the book of Genesis right at the beginning of our scriptures that God made us in His image, male and female, He created us. But if you stop to think about this in the light of Advent, what does Jesus do in the Advent season? Well, we see Jesus become one of us. This is Christ who first comes to earth in the form of a tiny little human being developing in His mother Mary's womb. He experiences all of the things that we experience. God takes on our image. So yes, we are made in the image of God, but also God, in the season of Advent, we see Him taking on our image and drawing it to Himself. This is a profoundly wondrous gift. It is a gift that separates Christianity from any of the other religions. It is a gift that makes sense of our humanity and the human experience and really elevates it to profound and wondrous heights. One of the great things about the season of Advent is it provides us with an opportunity to, like I said at the beginning, to have a little Lent, to do some reflecting, to do some contemplating about the mystery of God, His love for us, and of course, the incarnation. Jesus who becomes one of us and takes on our humanity. One of the ways that we do that in our household is, in our family home, we actually have an Advent wreath with the 4 candles. Now, you've probably used to seeing this at church every Advent, and each week we light a different candle in the Advent wreath. Well, we do that in our family home, and during the time of Advent, when we have our family prayers, or maybe at meal times when we say grace, we would light the appropriate candle until we've gone all the way through all 4 candles. And it forms quite an important centerpiece for us. It's a way of centering ourselves and focusing a bit more intently on the mystery of the incarnation that happens at Advent. Another little thing that we came up with a few years ago with our children was we created this cork board. And in the middle of the cork board, we drew just a very stylized picture of Joseph and Mary sitting on the back of the donkey, and it's the symbol of that journey that's happening, that journey towards the Nativity. And what we do is we've created a whole lot of little stick-on Christmas trees, and each Christmas tree has a number. And each night when we say our prayers, someone in the family gets to take a turn to post another one of those Christmas trees all the way around the outside on that cork board until we slowly find ourselves counting down right to Christmas Day. And so in this way, Advent in our home isn't just a busy 4 weeks where we're rushing around and thinking about Christmas dinner and who is going to get what presents under the Christmas tree. It's actually a time of being present with Christ and prayerfully focusing on this season and trying to get the best that we can out of it. And why does all of this matter so much? Well, like I said at the beginning, remember that story of the boy with the jigsaw puzzle, the picture of the world that he couldn't make sense of, it was too hard for him? Well, if you get the picture of the man on the cross right, the world makes sense. And the man on the cross begins his journey with those first initial moments of the incarnation that we remember every time we celebrate Advent. And why this matters so much is because if we understand who God truly is, and we get that bit right, we understand who we are. We are made in the image of God. And what that means is if we understand the God who we are made in the image of, then we will know how to live a full and flourishing human life. If we don't understand who God is, and we don't understand the great mystery of the incarnation, we are almost certainly going to struggle to understand our own lives. We're going to struggle to make sense of it. We're going to struggle to find meaning. It might seem strange to say it, but our human meaning really begins in a profound and special way in that stable. It begins, though, even further back than that. It begins the moment the angel appears to Mary and tells her that she is going to become pregnant with the Son of God. It begins in her womb. This is really quite profound, and these mysteries really matter. So I would encourage you over the days of Lent to actually spend time reflecting and contemplating more deeply about the mystery of the incarnation, about the wonderful gift of your body and humanity and work and all of these amazing things that are a reflection of Christ's incarnation. Of course, the profound mystery of the Eucharist is part of this as well. And next time you find yourself suffering, maybe your body's a bit tired and a bit achy, maybe you're struggling with sadness, don't forget that God Himself has been where you are right now. God became one of us in the person of Jesus, and He experienced everything that we experience. He truly knows us because He truly knows through the incarnation what it is to be one of us. And He is there with us whenever we struggle, when we find ourselves trying to make sense of the world, when we find ourselves grasping for meaning or feeling like hope just might be that little bit too far away beyond our grasp. In that moment, Christ is there with us, and the incarnation and Advent reminds us of this profound and wondrous truth.